Welcome back everybody to a new video, and this is gonna be a much requested topic I'll be discussing today. How do I eat? Like literally, not my diet or what do I eat, like how do I eat with this mouth, with this scar, with this reconstructed jaw? It's funny, having this channel for close to 8 years now, it never really crossed my mind to discuss that, but it is possibly the biggest effect that I deal with to this day. It is bigger than me having to overcome how to talk. It's even bigger than me having to, learn how to date again and how to be confident around people and women and all those things. Because we eat all the time. And I mean, I eat all the time because I'm also a bodybuilder, so I'm trying to get calories in. And this might be the most important aspect of my entire jaw amputation slash cancer journey that I never discussed. So thank you so much to the person bringing awareness to that, making me aware that I never talked about this. So here we go. So before I start, let's get into some technicalities first. I have all my other teeth, but then in terms of bottom teeth, I only have about, let me count, one, I got 3 bottom teeth. So all this, it's just like reconstructed bone and titanium. So that leaves me with a very small chewing surface. I don't have a lot of space to actually grind and chew on my food. So how have I mastered that throughout the years, and how do I still get calories in to be able to grow and to be in a caloric surplus? Good question. I eat a lot of pasta, obviously. I eat a lot of rice. I barely eat anything that I have to go like for, like eating an apple or eating like a sub, like a sandwich. Like I basically can't. Doesn't mean sometimes I don't try, but if I want to do something like that, I always have to make sure I have the correct tools in place. For example, if I want to eat an apple, I need a knife to cut up the apple and to slice it up in small pieces so I can kind of like place them in the back of my mouth here, all the way to the side so I can chew on it. Another thing is that when I'm eating at home, I like to try and sit back so that my head is in a declined position, right? The reason for that being is that due to the cancer amputation, due to the jaw amputation, basically, especially after the last surgery that kind of botched the whole thing, I no longer have any type of margin as it pertains to my mouth's ability to keep in fluid or food for that matter. Like this area right here is like this, my lip is this much above the bone. So any amount of excess fluid or food kind of tends to drop out if I don't make a concerted effort to like really cock back my head and eat that way. If I'm eating out, if I'm on dates, you can imagine how horrible that feels. Even if it's not a date, just with people, with colleagues, like I remember just, when I got this new job last year, colleagues want to go out for lunch and then they want to talk during lunch, and I mean that's just practically impossible for me. Like I can barely eat comfortably with people around, let alone talk during eating. So what I tend to do now is I will kind of just like cram it to the side, and I'll always have like 4 or 5 napkins on standby, to just immediately have like a napkin to kind of cover up the hole visually, but also physically, so that the food actually stays in. If I don't do that, food literally falls out onto my shirt, um, everywhere. Many times I leave the restaurant, there's food like on the floor, like it just kind of like fell down, and I didn't notice, or I couldn't help it. Um, so like the whole napkin situation, that's also something I constantly have to be aware of. The minute I walk into a place to eat, the first thing I'm looking around is like, where's the napkins? I always order extra napkins as well. The minute I get a drink, I'm already like, hey, can you get me some napkins? And guys, you would be surprised how many times waiters and staff in general forget that. Um, and just in going further into that, like in terms of like the whole empathy factor, the amount of times that I've been with friends, even people that have known me for a long time, or the amount of times I've been with people that obviously know and see what's going on, and they will propose to like eat something on the go, or they'll be like, oh, let's just pick up a sandwich and walk over there, or like so many times, even when I get a coffee with a friend and or like in a little snack, like I have to literally say, hey, can we sit down? I can't walk and eat at the same time. It's. I mean, people mean well, obviously, but people don't really think about that stuff. Like they see it, and then I've always tried to flip it in a positive way. I've always tried to tell myself, you know what? If they're not thinking about that, they kind of assume and they see you as like a normal, healthy being, right? Like a person, like not a handicapped person. So I guess it's a good thing, but it sucks. It does suck. Um, for example, like another thing, like walking dinners. That's a thing now. It's been for a while. Like I'll go to weddings and I'll show up and then I'll find out it's a walking dinner and I'm like, fuck my life. How am I supposed to do this? Especially if I'm wearing a suit that's nice, white shirt. I can't. It's horrible. So I've had numerous instances where I just won't eat because I choose to be vain and to not look disabled and to not look um, like a literal baby, over the need to eat. It's just sometimes I've gone on dates and the girl's like, oh, let's get something to eat, and I'm like, I'm good, I'm not hungry, ha ha ha. But I'm always hungry, obviously. Like I'm 6'4", 210 pounds, like I'm always hungry. And or like for example, I'll get into situations where I just remember spontaneously, I remember this, I paid for this tour in Costa Rica, and you go rafting, it's awesome, and then they take you to like this all you can eat buffet. But it's all like on a tight schedule. And I remember being with this awesome group, and they were going to the all-you-can-eat lunch, and I didn't have enough time because they were also asking me questions, and like I'm trying to, but I can't eat and talk at the same time, so like I just eat a whole lot slower than others. And I remember just still being so hungry, but then we already had to go to the next stop, and I was just thinking like I just wish I could one day. For one day, I could just like grab an apple and just take a big bite of it and walk and not spill anything. I'll watch people do that. I'll see people walking down the street with like a hamburger in one hand and like on the phone, and they're just like, and I'm just amazed at the fact that the food it stays in. They're chewing, they're talking at the same time, and that's one of the only moments that I'm truly like confronted and jealous, like, you know, by my situation. And of course, this happens almost every day. So it's funny, I never talked about it. Um, I hate eating with people for that reason. I don't want to eat with people. I don't like eating with people. Leave me alone. At my job as well, I go into a little corner in the cafeteria and I just want to be by myself. Like, not because I don't like people, not because I don't want to talk to people. It's just not. I want to relax when I eat. Like, I've always kind of, and I think that comes from my family. We always came from like, my background in my family. When it was dinner time, that was a time to like relax and eat, and of course stories were told and stuff, but it was always, I remember my dad always putting emphasis on also like not liking noise or stuff like that, or like, for example, it was a rule in my family, like you had to turn off the TV. It was in a different room, but you could still hear it, but like it was not an option to leave the TV on. Like, no, you don't do that. So I've always kind of identified and I guess correlated, having a meal with like a downtime, and I can't do that if I have to actively monitor like me what I like to, like if I'm trying to like be if I'm trying to eat in like a acceptable way. So if you would see me eat by myself the way I eat, it's really I'm just like I'm spilling a lot, but like I know you guys like know what I'm talking about. I don't want to hold back and like nibble, like, and sometimes people have told me like, why don't you eat like slower and smaller bits? And I'm like, fuck you, like sometimes I'm also really hungry and I just want to like dive in, I just want to like stuff my face. It's a nice feeling, it's a nice sensation, like sometimes you just want to like, you don't want to let it get cold, and so when I eat by myself, it's a mess. I will put like a napkin from here to here, literally covering my entire torso, and then I'll put another napkin covering my pants, so my crotch area all the way down to my thighs. So that's a lot of kitchen paper. What do you call that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this type of, this right here, this thing. Kitchen paper? So that's how I basically eat when I'm by myself. And in terms of like the things, like I mentioned pasta, I mentioned rice, I love soup, I love anything that's liquid. I hate anything that's dry and that I really have to chew on. So anything that's like saucy, I love lasagna, I love eggs, I love oats. Basically anything without like a very dense, thick structure that I really have to like chew on. I love good steak if it's like soft and like, like good steak, but like I hate tough steak. It's the worst. I like ribs, baby back ribs, if they're like falling off the bone. I think you can spot the common denominator here. It's all about my food has to be soft, because so like if it's soft enough, I can also kind of like, I don't even need my body to chew it. I can also just kind of use my jawbone here to just kind of like process it, and like I'll squish it with my tongue. I will have a burger. I will have burgers if they're like nice and juicy and moist, like enough sauce. Like I could have a Big Mac, for example, like just to like, not that I love Big Macs, just like that's a good example, like because it's mushy, squishy. In Belgium, we also have those type of burgers where the bread is basically like a baguette bread, and it's just like it's impossible for me. I like pizza even then, and then if I have pizza, so if I do have to like kind of eat something from the front, I squish it between my frontal teeth and my tongue. I'll literally will use my tongue to rip off a part. If I eat like sometimes if I'm chilling and by myself, like I like stuff like maybe chocolate. Doesn't happen a lot, but if I do eat it, I have to let it melt. So positive about it is it has taught me to really enjoy food at a whole different level in terms of taste and in terms of like really enjoying it. So like before a piece of chocolate, I would just be like, and swallow it down. And now like I have to let it melt. It has to become porous. It has to become moist and soft and in order for me to be able to kind of like chew it. So like I'll enjoy it a lot more and I'll be a lot more present. A lot of shakes, a lot of protein shakes, a lot of Greek yogurt. Just anything that's basically like soft. So yeah, those are most of the things I eat. I'll make sweet potato puree. Like I'll do a lot of sweet potato and I'll just like boil it and squish it. Like again, anything that is basically soft. But yeah, like there's a lot of things that are just like not in the cards for me, and that I can't really eat. And but the main thing is just in any type of social situation. And like for example, like people will offer me food all the time. Like, oh, you have a bite, have a try. And I'm like, no, I'm good. And they'll be, come on, try it. It's like, no, I'm good, I'm living in Mexico now also where food is such a big part of the culture. Where is food not a big part of the culture, right? Like, I feel like it's always a big thing. So it's just finding ways to like avoid situations like if I know a party has food included or if it's like a dinner before, I'll show up after the dinner. Unless I feel really comfortable with the person, then I'll eat with them. And I'll check out the restaurant in advance. If I see they have the lasagna, if I see they have the pasta. But even then, like, if I make pasta for myself, I break up the pasta in tiny bits and pieces because if I have like a normal pasta where it's not broken up, it just like gets halfway down my throat, but it's still here as well. I can't really cut it. It's like it's very, very awkward, very clumsy. So yeah, it comes with a lot of limitations. A lot of limitations for sure. But trying to see if I forget something. Like I feel like I've mentioned a lot of things in terms of my diet. I'll have mango. Again, soft fruit, all cut up. Peanut butter. Just anything that isn't too hard really. I think I have covered most of it in terms of what do I eat and how do I eat. So again, like either I cock back my head or I'm just kind of like, I'm hunched over because I'm trying to avoid the landing zone of my pants. And in some situations, obviously, like on a date or like a formal dinner, I'm not putting a ton of tater across my crotch. So I'm trying to like really lean in. I'm hunched over in my plate, which I understand is also not the most elegant way to eat. I kind of look like a caveman hunchback. And that's something, like, again, like, people will call me out. People will be like, dude, they'll be like, they'll make a remark on, like, how I'm eating. And it's like, really? No, you're not putting a one-on-one together? No? Like, you think I enjoy this? Yeah. Yeah, that is that is by far the biggest disability I have to this day. Because like I had to like teach myself how to form phonetics again. Like I had to relearn how to speak due to the lack of movement in my bottom lip. So now my tongue serves as like my bottom lip as it pertains to pronouncing certain things. And I think I've done a pretty good job. I still struggle with certain things like work, work, work. You know, I can't really say the work. It sounds like work. It's kind of hard to say. I've also learned to like make all the sounds and phonetics, especially in English, in the back of my throat, because I kind of figured out that that's what most Americans do by default anyway. They kind of talk back here. You don't really need your lips that much because you could put a lot of intonation when you do this thing with your throat. You know what I mean? In other languages, it's not that easy, but it is what it is. Yeah, the eating part of it, it messes me up, and that's the thing that I'm confronted with on a daily basis. But moral of the story is still, it is what it motherfucking is, and just keep going, keep finding ways, keep advancing, roll with the punches, really. That's all we can do. So if you're watching this and you're going through something yourself and you feel like it's never going to get better, hey man, it is what it is. Like, it's time to log back in. It's time to get back on the horse. I know times get hard. I'm recording this in the end of August. Days are getting shorter. Days are getting colder. You know, like summer love is gone by now. Same for me. But at the end of the day, we're alive, we're healthy. I still have the ability to walk around with nothing in my body in terms of syringes or tubes. Like, that used to be different. You know, I used to be in a wheelchair, hooked up to a bunch of stuff. Like, literally, like 3 different access points in my body. Like, I had a tube stuck in my penis, for God's sake. That was literal torture to be through. I had a tube going straight into my stomach to help me, you know, to keep me alive, to just feed me liquid food, because I couldn't get any food up here. I had a tube through here to breathe, so I don't have any of those, you know. I'm going to the gym, I'm strong, I'm recording videos, I'm getting my message across, you know, out there in the world. I have a following. I have a lot to be grateful for, and so do you, okay? So it's time to log back in. Don't focus on the things you don't have. Focus on the things you do have. And that's it. And I hope that this video was able to give you guys some insight, and you found it interesting. And if you're still watching right now, I really do appreciate it. So thank you guys for watching. And I'll be back real soon with more content per usual. 2024. We're gearing up for a strong end of the year, and I'll be here with you guys every step of the way. Alright guys, thank you so much. I'm out. Peace. I just realized I forgot to touch on one important aspect on this topic, It's the fact that I basically need to change my clothes every single day. I might have stains on me right now. Actually, I don't, which is a small miracle. So, because of the fact that there's always food falling out and stuff like that, I get my clothing dirty all the time. Like, I always have stains in this area. I have stains on my crotch area, on my legs, and it's incredibly frustrating. I love clothing. I love fashion, and I try to be careful and keep it in mind, but like some days, man, it can really mess me up. Like I'll be wearing like a beige or like a white pants, that I like, feeling fresh, and then literally like just the first bite I take that day, and I'm just like 1 second of not being locked in, to my situation, and 1 second of not being aware and being careful. And like a drop, or like, drinking like Coca-Cola and like a drop falls on my pants, and I'm just like, fuck, so that happens a lot. Shout out to my mom, who has done so much laundry for me in the past decade. It's insane. My My dad used to joke about that all the time. He's like, whenever you're home, when I'm with them, like, it's like mom was running a laundry mat. And it's true. It's true. Because I get all my clothes dirty so incredibly quick. And I'm just always like conscious of it, trying to be, but then of course sometimes you're not. And so, for example, to add on to that, I am conscious and aware most of the time, but then I'll go out and I'll be drinking. And when you drink and when you get intoxicated, you care less, but you're also not so aware. And then the next day I'll see pictures of the party, or like I'll see a video of me on an Instagram story, and like I'll have like big ass stains on my shirt, and it's not because I'm sloppy drunk, it's just because like I'm having a good time and I'm not aware, and like some fluid slipped out, or sometimes I'm drooling, I'm not aware, and it's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing, man. It is. So that happens as well. A lot of dirty clothing, and or like I'll go to eat somewhere and I won't have immediate access to like a mirror or like a bathroom. That happens in some cases. And I'm walking around for the next few hours with like, sauce or like food smeared anywhere, on my mouth. And the thing is, no one will ever fucking tell you. They never tell you. People don't tell you that. Which is, again, I get it, because it's like, you don't want to be the one that points that out, but it is annoying and it sucks. Anyway, that was my little add-on to the video. Thanks for watching.